Welcome everyone. What we're going to do here is we're going to do a digital version of our Happy Duck Sketch in Ink lesson. While this is not a how to use digital software, I will do some explaining as to what I'm doing. So I'm going to do File, New, create a new file. I want it to be 1920 by 1080 pixels. The resolution is 300. Make sure your resolution is 300 or above. Let's call this Happy Duck Digital. Press enter. Okay, here we go. So I'm going to double click on the background lock here. Click OK. I don't like working on white, so I'm going to choose a gray from the color picker here, just around 50%. This is 48. That'll do. Fill it in with the paint bucket, and now I have a nice gray to work over here. I'm going to lock that layer, create a new layer above it. I'm going to grab the color picker and choose a nice light blue to simulate working with a blue pencil for our rough sketch, our underdrawing here. And then I'm just going to start doing the rough sketch for our little happy duck here. I'm going to undo the airbrush, and for a brush I want to make sure I have a hard round brush. So I'm going to go to the legacy brushes, grab the hard round, and my settings are going to be just a little bit of smoothing and no brush dynamics, no transfer or shape dynamics. Alright, we are ready to go. Great. So here we go, rough sketch. And I'm going to make my zoom out, make the screen a little bigger, and okay, that's working. Nice circle. Create our halfway guidelines. Okay, and here we go. I'm going to make the beak with our triangle, the bottom of the beak, create the eyes, alright, pupils, face markings, underbelly curves, and then the eyebrows. Now I notice I don't have a lot of room here on the top, so I'm just going to add a little bit on the top here. I am going to go Control A and select everything, go to Control T, and then I'm just going to drag this down a little bit and place it more in the middle. Hit the OK check mark, and then Control D to deselect. Continuing on with our drawing, do the floppy feathers on top with my little heart shape here, and finally the tail feathers. So working digitally is quite a bit different than working with a pencil, and takes a while to get used to it, but you can, and there's lots of advantages. Alright, so now that we have our rough drawing done, I'm going to hit the opacity, put it down to about 50%, lock that layer, add a layer above it, and now I'm going to switch to black for my color. I'm going to go up to my smoothing and put it around 40% and start my black line sketch. Okay, Control Z to undo. Didn't like that. I keep on getting wonky over here in the bottom corner, so a little smoother. There we go. Don't like that either. When you're doing it digitally, you can just do it as many times as you want. Control Z is your best friend. There we go. That's what I was looking for. Now the beak. I can hold shift and it'll give me either a perfectly straight horizontal or vertical line. Control Z. There we go. Now I'll do the underbelly lines and go for the eyes. Here we go. I don't want to draw down into the beak now because erasing's a little harder than on a piece of paper. Do the pupils. Okay. I don't like coloring in with this smoothing on at 40%. I'll wait till I'm done the line art and then we'll fill in the black areas. And there's the face markings, and then get back to the eyebrows. That's too low. There we go. And the floppy feathers. That's nice. And finally the tail feathers. Lots of Control Z. Okay, so now that we have our line art pretty much there, I'm going to shut off the blue line layer. And let's do a little bit of cleanup first. I'm going to grab the eraser and get rid of anything that's obvious that we don't want. Alright, so now I'm going to go back to the brush, put the smoothing down to 3 or 4%, increase the size slightly of my brush, and start inking the areas that I want to be black. And I think I went too deep into this eye also here. Back to the brush. Alright, and then fill in the tail. And while this whole class is not going to deal with color, I'm just going to focus on drawing. I will color this in just for fun. And if you're brand new, it'll be a good little lesson for you on how to do a very basic coloring with Photoshop. Okay, so we have our line art done, and I'm going to lock the line art. Then I'm going to add a layer underneath it, and we'll call this color. Now, what we're going to do is use the line art layer for selecting, and then we'll go to the color layer and fill it in. Alright, so grabbing the magic wand tool, I'm going to select outside of the artwork, and then I'm going to go Control Shift I to invert the selection. And then I'm also going to go to Select, Modify, Contract, and shrink in this selection by 4 pixels. So it's only going inside the black line art. It's not going to leak over it. I'm going to grab a nice bright red 255, and I'm going to go to the color layer and go Alt Backspace and fill in our happy duck here. Now I notice at the top it missed the selection by just a little bit. So I'm going to go Control D to deselect, zoom in, hold the space bar and drag down, and I am going to grab the eraser and get rid of that little bit of red there. And while I have the eraser here, I'm going to clean up some things with the line art that I don't like. So I'm going to unlock the line art, select the line art layer, and just clean up a few things that I don't like about my line art. All right. In the eye here. And also I'm going to go in and, whoa, we are on the line art and we want black. Alrighty. That's a little better. Lock the line art again. Okay, now here we go back to coloring, Control 0 to zoom out. Grab the magic wand on the line art layer, select the underbelly, go to select, modify, expand by 4 pixels, push the selection up into the lines, and then I'll go back to the color layer. And with the eyedropper tool, I'm going to select our red color, go into the color picker and reselect to make it a pinkish white. And then Alt backspace to fill in the underbelly. Control D to deselect. Now I'm going to go back up to the line art and I am going to grab my magic wand and I'm going to grab the top of the beak and then holding shift grab the bottom of the beak. Go to select, modify, expand by 4 pixels, and then go to the color picker and grab a kind of yellow brown for the beak. Go to the color layer and Alt backspace. Control D to deselect. Continuing on, I will go back to the line art layer, grab the magic wand, and this time I'm going to select all the face marking areas. Hold shift to add on sections. And we're going to go and expand it again. Select, modify, expand. I've got 4 pixels in there. That's about perfect. I am going to use the eyedropper to select either the red or the pink, it doesn't matter. Opening up the color picker, I'm going to go to almost white, but not. Actually, I'm going to go down to a little bit of more of a grayish pink and go back to the color layer and Alt backspace in. That's too gray. So let's go a little more red and Alt backspace again. That's better. One last time, we're going to go to the line art layer, grab the magic wand, select the eye, hold shift down, select the other eye, select, modify, expand by 4 pixels. So the selection goes into the line art. I'm going to shift back to the color layer, and this time with the color picker I'm going to pick an almost white. So this will be the brightest area. And boom, we have some nice bright eyes on our happy duck. Control D to deselect. And I'm just going to grab the eraser and zoom in a little bit to see if any of the color leaked on the outside here. Just see a few spots where it leaked over. Okay, that's great. So Control Z, Control 0, I keep meaning to say. And there we go. So I'm going to save. Control S to save. And yeah. Save that. And now we'll put in a little bit of a background just for fun. I will put a layer underneath our color layer. I will grab the color picker and grab a bit of a blue-green here, I guess. Not too saturated. And then I'm going to grab the brush and make it kind of big and just do a little swoop. Control minus to Zoom out. There we go. So there's a bit of a grass effect. Maybe just a little greener. And this time I'll use the paint bucket and fill it in. There we go. I like that better. And then put another layer underneath that. Go into the color picker. Select some kind of sky blue that you like. And I'm going to paint bucket in that whole layer. And there we go. We have a bit of a background for our happy duck. And one last touch is above the two background layers. I'll make a new layer, grab black, grab my brush, and using the shift, holding the shift key down, I'm going to draw in some speed lines like this guy's flying along. I think the brush is too big though for this. So I'm going to use the bracket key and hold down shift. There we go. That's what I'm looking for. So every time you do this, if you hold down shift and do a line and then you do another line, it's going to kind of join across like that, and we don't want that. So once you've done a line, you have to let go of shift, put your pen down, hold shift, and then do it again. Pen, hold shift, zoom. Let go of the shift, put the pen down, hold shift, put the pen down, hold shift, put the pen down, hold shift, pen, hold shift. You get the idea. The thing about holding the or pushing the pen down first is it makes a little bit of a blotch. So you may want to go in with the eraser and just, whoop, I didn't like that, and just chop off those little blotches at the start of each line. And we're just about done. There we go, a digital version of our happy duck. Okay, hope you enjoyed that, and we'll see you in the next lesson when we start doing our first basic faces.